Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the Power of Educating Our Own. This is a podcast hosted by the Clara Mohammed Schools Network. I am one of your co-hosts, Sister Marsha Nivens Mohammed, and I'm here with
Patricia Salahuddin. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, everyone.
Yes, welcome. So we are back in this space. As you all know, those of you who join us consistently, we are here every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in this space, we discuss all things education, and we also discuss those supplemental topics that surround education, surround our schools, surround how we are cultivating our ourselves, our families, our children. And tonight is no different. We're actually going to be continuing on with a series of this topic of Ramadan. For those of you who do know, Ramadan is quickly approaching, right? We're less than 60 days out. I don't even know the count at this point, but I know in the past week or two, I was seeing people post like 60 days. So I know that we're less than 60 days. That much I do know. Um, and in that, in that time, we spend it so preparing for Ramadan. And so our last show, we talked about nutrition and food and how we prepare in that way. And tonight we are going to talk about our spaces. And so you've seen our dear sister in this space talking about spaces before, Sister Aida Akil, and she is going to grace us again this evening as we talk about preparing for Ramadan as it relates to our spaces. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Aida.
Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam.
I always love to see your background because I'm like, is that like, did she do that? Or
Yeah, I got puzzle pieces on the table.
I love it.
There's a chalkboard wall, so this is a very lived-in space. It is not a stage space. Alhamdulillah.
Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. When my children, well, they're all big now. My youngest is 14. But when the older girls were younger, I had a wall, and it wasn't a big wall, and we painted it with the chalkboard paint, and they loved it.
Yes,
Love,
as you
love.
can see by the dustiness, it gets used for sure. Alhamdulillah.
Yes. So we're going to jump right into the conversation. As I said, we are going to be talking about preparing for Ramadan as it relates to our spaces. So for those who are maybe joining us for the first time, let us know in the chat where you are joining us from. But also, Sister Aida, tell us about you and what you do, and then talk to us about preparing for Ramadan in our spaces and what we could do.
Yes, so thank you for having me. I could literally talk about spaces and beautification of spaces all day. So I appreciate having this platform of just kind of discussing it more, especially in the parameters of Ramadan. So a little bit more about me. I am an interior wellness specialist. And so what interior wellness is, it's the idea, the philosophy that interior design is not a want, but a need. And so everyone should be designing their space according to their custom and unique needs and wants and how they want their space to not look but feel. And so when you go about feeling your spaces, so maybe you want a calm space or a very lively space, or maybe you want something like small and cozy. Those are feelings and those aren't looks. And so I just encourage people to make sure that they are considering their spaces when they're thinking about their physical and mental health, because sometimes they could either, add to or take away from it. So I definitely am an advocate for interior wellness.
Excellent. And I am definitely a proponent of do something to the space because it doesn't feel like what you want it to feel like. You can ask my family, I will absolutely turn this house upside down.
I'll tell you what.
Restart it and pull all the
Yes.
things out and put them in different places because for me, clutter is a no-no. Like I
Yeah.
cannot think in those spaces. I cannot think in those spaces. I cannot go to bed in those
Yeah.
spaces. I need to have all
Yeah.
things in its place. So I understand completely
Yes, as
what
you
you're
should.
talking
It's
about.
your space.
Yeah.
Customize it, move around. No one can really think in cluttered spaces. It's just that we try to make do.
Right.
But truly and honestly, a cluttered space is like your number one nemesis when it comes to kind of just being able to move freely in your space, be able to think in that space, be able to see it for its full potential. So you're doing all the right things, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So how is that different for Ramadan, or what have we seen people do, or what is the preparation like? I know I threw three questions at you, but any one of those
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want to
yeah.
answer.
I'll just jump right in.
Yeah.
But so, how does that change with Ramadan? It doesn't, truly and honestly. I think that Ramadan is enhancing what we already know we should be doing and making habits of it. So, I know, especially for women, I'll say a lot of women will go and like completely clean their whole house. It has to be perfect. It has to be this. It has to be that. But truly and honestly, we want our house to feel good 365, not just for Ramadan. But when it comes to Ramadan, I think that as Muslims, we look at Ramadan almost as like a new year. We look at it as like a fresh beginning. We're trying to start new habits. People say that I think 27 days or something like that to form new habits. So we look at Ramadan as a way for us to start new habits. So if you're not in the mind frame of keeping your space maybe clutter free or really decorating outside of Ramadan is an excellent time to start and not just end with Ramadan, but continue maybe in a different form and fashion, but to continue throughout the year. So I personally use Ramadan as a refresh, a restart. We're going to set up some new habits here. We're going to use these 30 days to start new habits and having a space that is clear of unwanted things because I think that sometimes when people hear clutter, they think mess. Clutter is not necessarily mess. Clutter is a bunch of unwanted, unused items that really are not serving any purpose in your home. And so, if it's not like a book, like you're not necessarily going to read all of the books on your bookshelf. So, if it's not a book that is on your bookshelf or like an antique item, and I'm all for styling and having little tchotchkes and things like that. But if you're noticing that, wow, this is starting to feel overwhelming, and it's also a very unique thing. Some people want, absolutely nothing in their spaces. Some people can function at a higher level with a few more items. But as long as those items are loved and wanted and not just thrown somewhere haphazardly because I don't really know where else to put them, as long as that's not the case, then you're good. So Ramadan, I'll just reiterate that Ramadan is an awesome time to start establishing habits for beautification of your space, decluttering of your space, refreshing your space. I think Ramadan is another awesome time. I'm a big proponent of you don't have to necessarily redo your whole house. I think that's overwhelming and a lot for people. Let's make a corner. So maybe let's try out like a little reading nook this Ramadan so that you can have a dedicated space for you and your children to go and read some Quran. Make it pretty. You know what I'm saying? Make it comfortable. Make it a special time for you, your children, to make memories and have a good time. So I think that, when I think of Ramadan, I think that it's just an awesome time to start establishing those habits.
Sister Aida, I'm just excited to have you because I love listening to you talk about spaces and the different ways we can make those spaces feel. When you mentioned creating that space for you and the children to sit and read the Quran and make it a pleasant space, give us some examples of what kind of things one could do to make that space pleasant. And I know it kind of depends on what you want, but give us an example for like a regular, normal, just not normal, but regular situation.
Yeah, so in an average home, I would say, I reiterate, we should always have something like just a single space to pray, reflect, read. So if we don't already have that, moving into Ramadan would be an awesome time to start that, because I think during Ramadan we're increasing our worship, we're increasing our knowledge, we're just upping the ante in those areas. So it's a great time to kind of start, thinking about preparing. Like, okay, I might not, even if you live in a smaller space, even if you share your space with others, think about just like literally a corner, just a corner, or just a small space. It doesn't have to be something that's big. If you can do bigger, whatever your means are, whatever your situation is. But just, I think whenever I talk about design, I talk about intention. So just set your intentions to do it. Say, okay, I want to have a space that I can go in, and this is my dedicated reading nook. I want my children to know that this is our Ramadan reading nook, and we might keep it throughout the year, or maybe not, depending on how you want to do that. So, just start by your intentions, and then finding space. I can't imagine, you might have to take something out and replace it with something else, and all it can be is maybe a few floor cushions, a book stand, something to maybe hold your books. If you're into like aromatherapy, which I also incorporate into my interior wellness, maybe have some incense, some liqueur, maybe have something that smells good and kind of, immediately puts you in the mind frame of this is a fresh, a nice space. Obviously, make sure it's clean and decluttered. And then even maybe, go the extra mile and maybe let's put up a nice calendar. I like to do like an advent calendar so then my kids can see what day we're on. And then, the one that I have has little pockets and I like put like a little
Oh
something in each
yeah.
one.
I do that.
Yeah, so maybe we can have that in the corner and make that a thing, make the countdown a thing. I'm big on decorating for Ramadan, so I'm going to put up like my little calendars. I want to make sure that I have like some sort of decoration up because I want it to feel festive. I know as a child, and Christmas used to be much bigger, like with all the lights. I would be like, wow, look at all of that. And then we really didn't do much decoration. So it just kind of felt like, well, I want that. And not to say that we're following in the footsteps of others, but I think that it is important to make it special in our own way. And I even love to like establish, your own family traditions and things like that you can do. So I said a mouthful, but those are some of the ways that you can kind of make your space, your home, special for Ramadan.
Well, I like the way
Yeah.
you touched on all the senses, even the sense of smell, the scents in the house. And because I remember growing up, there was certain, especially during the wintertime, there was certain scents that, that you just, whenever you smell them, you think about that time of year. So thank you for sharing that with the including all of the senses.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and I love that we're sort of, so when you first start talking about spaces, you were talking about like making them um clean and clear and clutter free and those types of things. And I wasn't even thinking about that um
Hmm.
for like in terms of this conversation. So I love that we started there. Because in my mind I went to like the decorating, and probably because that's something that I love, right? So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
my mind went there. But yeah, like it's both of those things. And and I love that you also talked about intention, because sometimes, and I talked about this earlier with I think it was on Study Al Islam. I forgot exactly what we were discussing, but intention is so important, right? Because we're in the hustle and bustle of like
Yes.
our routines always,
Yes.
and sometimes it's hard to stop. So you mentioned also like creating memories, and sometimes I
Hmm.
feel like we think that memories are like naturally created, and they are.
Yes.
But
Sometimes, yeah.
right, sometimes, but then there's
Right.
also this intentionality about,
Absolutely.
let's make sure that we do this so that you
Yes.
have this as a memory. So talk to us a little bit more about that and some things that you've seen.
Yeah.
People doing.
Yeah, so I've seen like so many different things that make me go, Like I don't know if you've ever seen the Ramadan tree. I don't know. That came across my timeline, and it was like a tree that was like a moon and the star,
I feel like
but
I've seen it.
it was very much Christmas tree-ish, and I was like, I don't know. So I mean,
No.
I don't know. Like I was mixed about that, but I feel like there's so many things that you can do, and I think that sometimes when we think about memories, like I don't know, for some reason, as in humans, we think we have to do like these huge things, right? And as somebody who has, yeah. Somebody who has little ones, you'd be surprised at like some of the super simple things that really stick out to them. And, I think it's just about being consistent. So let's say you like, we're going to make chocolate chip cookies the first night of Ramadan. You know what I mean? And so now what are we incorporating? We're incorporating a family activity. We're incorporating the sense of smell, the anticipation. All of those things are leading up to this very special moment of these Ramadan cookies. And oh man, I remember when I was young, I used to have the cookie the first night of Ramadan. Just something as simple as that. Or, okay, the first night of Ramadan, we all get to, I don't know, maybe each one of us gets to say a verse in the Quran, and we go in a circle and we do that. Or each Ramadan, in this Advent calendar, we have a special prize, like a small gift, a small token, or even like I have written down like one good deed you should do in that day, like, inside the calendar. So when you're picking it up, you're reading your good deed, or you're reading a dua. Like all of these things are things to help you, like you said, form those memories, because yes, there are some memories that just natural, or memories that naturally happen. But I think for a good portion of them, they're, intentional. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's great to be intentional. I think as Muslims, everything we do is starting with intention. So why shouldn't we approach our homes and our design and our decorating with that same amount of intentionality? Because truly, everything is, trying to get closer to Allah. We know that cleanliness is, a part of our religion. We know that we are supposed to, be upstanding, upright, and have things like, look nice. I think beautification is actually a part of Islam. And I'm not saying that it's like in the Quran it says this, but what I'm saying is that it talks about, making sure your clothes are clean, making sure you smell nice. And so all of those things are a part of beautification. So I don't want us to stop at our person. I want us to take that into our home and our spaces as well.
Absolutely. And then, I was thinking too, as you were talking, that earlier you mentioned, like, just selecting a space. And I know in my home, that's the living room, right? Like that's where
Okay.
everyone's going together.
Yes.
That's where we all pray,
Mm-hmm.
that, there's a certain atmosphere in here. I mean,
Yes.
I was gonna try to pull up some pictures. Maybe I'll find some and see if I can
Okay.
share. But
I would love
sometimes
to see.
I'm a little like extra and overboard. Like I'm making decals for the wall with my Cricut, and I'm
Nothing
doing
wrong
all
with
this
that.
kind of stuff. Yes, I got balloons everywhere and lights. And
Yes.
it's not even a huge space, honestly. But my children are just kind of used to me. Like, okay, just leave her alone. Leave
She's
her
took it.
move.
Let her
Leave
do
her
her
alone.
thing.
Yes,
Yes, I absolutely love that. And I love that for your kids, because
right.
they are making those special memories. They're saying, like, we live in a society where most people don't celebrate Eid and Ramadan. And so, like, I feel like let our kids feel confident. Like, yeah, I might not be able to do that, but I know I'm going to have some fun during Ramadan. I even tell them,
Right.
like, we get 30 full days. Like, wow, you know what I mean? Like this, every day of Ramadan is special. We're not just waiting for
Yeah.
Eid to make it special. Every
Right.
day is special. I know that one family, they do a fort, and so they literally built like this big fort. And in the last 10 nights, like every night, they all sleep in that fort and read Quran and do that. And she was like, and she said, even my teenagers, they don't complain. She said they even love it. And so because they've
Don't
been doing it
give
since
me
they were
any
young,
ideas.
So there's all sorts of things to just, especially when we're talking about the little ones, like we have to give them the things to make this feel special because naturally they'll want to do these other things. So hey, let's be comparable at least and say no, we have something better. And we can't wait till Ramadan. We can't wait to eat because oh my goodness, we're just gonna have all these memories, all of these cherished moments.
Yeah. If you hear me
That's
talking
very
about a
good what you
fork,
mentioned
just
about the
know
little
that
ones.
you put that in my brain.
Like I'm gonna expect a fork from you in 60 days or less. Inshallah.
When you mentioned the little children and making it special for them, that is so important, and I hope every parent hears that because that's where you plant the seed about Ramadan.
Hmm.
It starts at that age, that young, tender age, and it's all about how we make them feel during this time, during the Ramadan time, how we make them feel. Are they happy? Are they excited? Are they eager
Yeah.
to participate? And that's what you want to create. And with the little ones. Now, when we also have schools, Muhammad schools. Do you have any suggestions for the teachers in the schools and making Ramadan a special time for the children?
Yeah, I think that the biggest part is getting the kids involved. And, of course, that takes more effort and more work. But I just think that if the teacher has the capacity, just please get the kids involved with their decorating. There's so many great ideas, like just decorating your door. I've done this for like Black History Month and other times. But hey, let's decorate our door, and then maybe the school can have a door Ramadan or Eid door competition, and each person kind of is proud of their own special room or something like that. Maybe we can have an idea where each person maybe writes a card, and then maybe we can have a card wall, and each person can maybe go and read each person's card, like like maybe a special memory that they have from Ramadan. Again, these things don't have to be lavish and a lot of money to be able to execute. I think the biggest thing is just making the time to get the children involved. And so there's so many different ways. Like Marsha, I'm sure hers would be super elaborate if she was a teacher. And some teachers may only have the capacity or desire to do just maybe a wall, and that's okay. Maybe put some of the streamers up or the balloons or something like that, so that even I have an idea, like each day, like maybe they have 30 or 29 or 30 balloons on the floor, and each day we pop one balloon. Just something that is like special. And now, oh wow, now we only have two more balloons. That means we only have two more days of Ramadan left. All of those things are like very easy to execute, but very impactful. Um, and just making sure, like I said, the classrooms are not exempt from the foundational work of making sure that clutter is not present, making sure that the spaces are clean, making sure that there's a dedicated space for reading. I know that, in Islamic schools, we have the liberty to say, okay, during English, we're going to have reading time. And, instead of picking a book, we're going to read the Quran. Like, it's okay for us to do that. That's perfectly fine. We have the options to incorporate those things during Ramadan. So maybe we, even in the classroom, let's get that reading. And most classrooms usually have it already, but now let's maybe make it Ramadan special with some streamers or some balloons and things like that. So, I mean, the sky is the limit. With teachers, I'm a big inspiration person, so I'm going to always go on Pinterest or this or that to try to look to see, like, okay, what are other people doing? Oh, I like this and then this, and I want to incorporate it and you made it your own. So I think that, again, we go back to intention, planning, and just making sure that you have the desires to do it.
Well, I like the idea of reading the Quran in the classroom. Of course, you're going to do it anyway, but there's a thought of if you're an English teacher or English class or doing the English or doing the reading time, take those the passage that you read from the Quran, and those questions that you ask at the end of a reading, like what's the main idea?
Yeah.
Any figurative language in there, and what's the verb? And you analyze what
Yes,
you
analyze the
read.
crime. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have the power to do that, and we should,
Yes.
because these are our
Yes.
schools. We determine what we're teaching. Alhamdulillah. So I think that,
Exactly.
yeah, we can
It won't be
empower the
just it
teachers
won't
to
be
be
just
creative.
it won't be just reading us an ayat or portions of a surah. We're analyzing it. We are doing a deep dive into it, so we get a deeper reading. So I think that's a possibility there.
Inshallah, I love it.
Yeah, and then I was thinking, yes, the home, yes, the school, but even the masjid, right? Like if there is, if you have the capacity to just do something small, like you said, just to kind of make the
Yeah.
space feel Ramadanish. Go
Absolutely.
for
I
it.
had,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, I had the pleasure of designing the mother's room for Atlanta Masjid here, and I intentionally put like a string light that I said nobody turn on unless it's Ramadan. And so I intentionally said, okay, we're gonna have this string light, and it's like little tiny lanterns. And so let's just only turn that on during Ramadan. So when people and the moms with the little ones come in, they say, "Oh, the light is on. That means it's Ramadan." We keep that Ramadan light on for 30 days. And so, yes, the masjids, let's do that. I think that sometimes in our masajids, we are operating from a model that can sometimes be a little bit antiquated. And I think that it's time to like, let's liven it up, freshen it up. The masjid is not a place for just salat, while that is obviously a major portion of why we go, but it is what I consider it should be your hub for community. It should be the place that we go to socialize, get together, worship, obviously, study, all of the things. So let's make our spaces interactive. Let's make them fresh. Let's make them, welcoming and bright and open, and make sure that we are, incorporating, all of the things that we have at our disposal.
I
That sounds
love that
great.
language of the
Mhm.
masjid being the hub for community, right? And so
Yeah.
Yes.
that just sort of recenters our thinking for, like, we come here for all of those things. And so when
Yes.
we come to this space, let it be representative of what we're experiencing in that moment. And we can
Absolutely.
move a something here or add a something there for the time
Yes.
being to to be intentional about that particular moment.
Absolutely. And I think that when there's so many generations in a masjid. You have your pioneers, and then you have your young adults, and then you have your small children. And so, I think everybody can benefit from, getting into the spirit of Ramadan, and so, yes, visually, that helps. You know what I mean? Obviously, Ramadan is so much more than that, but yes, visually that helps. When you see something, you feel inspired, like, wow, yes, Ramadan is coming. Wow, it feels more welcoming. You feel like, yeah, let's spend a little more time here. Why? Because your space is welcoming and inviting. And don't we want people to stay at the masjid a little bit longer? Don't we want people to look at the masjid as the place to be? Like, shouldn't we be encouraging this? Our spaces shouldn't be just big empty spaces. These are spaces that people should come and congregate and learn and do all the things in. And Ramadan is a great example, because I think most masjids are full during Ramadan. And so it's a great, great, great opportunity to, just enhance that with some of the decorating that you can do inside your spaces.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
at this masjid in Miami, we have a school, and so the children will put decoration up, and when you walk down the stairs in the dining area, you see the decoration, different things pertaining to Ramadan decoration. So It's just so heartwarming to see that when you walk into this to that space. So that's
Yes.
so important. Yes.
I absolutely love it. And I think that when we talk about decoration, especially for Ramadan, it's okay to put your culture in there too. Like, I want to say that because I think that there was a company called Ramadan and Juliet, and she had these banners, and I take it out every year. And on one of them, it had kind of like an African inspired print on the Ramadan banner.
Yes.
And that is
Yes.
perfectly fine. Like, everybody doesn't have to necessarily have one sort of design. I know that typically we do like the lanterns and the moon and the star kind of things, but we can think outside of that. We can decorate it however you like to decorate it. Maybe you love flowers, and you can maybe do like some streamers with like some fake flowers that you woven in there. You can incorporate your own style into it, because everybody's unique. So you can be creative. I don't think that there is a Muslim style. And you know what I mean? And I think that we should all have our personality inside of our decorations and our design. And that is okay. It's not going against, anything that Islam would be
Right.
representing.
Right. Because that's the other end of it. Like, can we do that? You always get that question. Like, even if people are not overtly asking it, it's kind of like you feel that in the room. Like, can we do
Yeah,
this?
can
It's
we
like,
incorporate our cultures? Yes, why not? As long as it doesn't go against Islam, why not?
right, right,
And so I think that we have some clear direction when it comes to that. Now, if you're incorporating things that are obviously not, like, let's say you're doing a what are those things where people kind of worship at? Oh, what are those? They kind of have them like in a box, and they'll put like little offerings and stuff like that. Obviously, we're not doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? If that's in your culture, yeah, altars. Yes, like obviously, we're not going to be doing those things. We're not going to be taking in any of the haram things and shirky things. But why not say, hey, I like this pattern.
right.
Your Ramadan can be pink if you want it to be. You don't have to stick
Yes,
to, you know what I mean? You can have pink decorations. You can have kente cloth decorations. You can have whatever your heart desires, as long as you're not, overstepping those Islamic bounds. And so I think that that's another thing that I talk about interior wellness is that, make it you, because you'll enjoy it so much more if it feels close to you. You know what I mean? And so do what you like when, if silver is the color for you this Ramadan, do an all silver decoration by all means. Don't inhibit yourself where it has to be kind of like these Quranic verses those are nice. But when we're talking about decorating, you can think outside of that.
yeah. Okay. So if you're just joining us, you are watching The Power of Educating Our Own, and we are talking about preparing for Ramadan, particularly our spaces. I did find some pictures. So let's see
All
if I can get
right,
some
I can't
pictures.
wait. Alhamdulillah.
Let's see. These are some, sometimes I get a little extra, guys.
I
So
love
just
it.
bear
I
with
love
me.
it.
Okay. Can you see that?
Oh
Oh,
wow,
very
that's
nice.
beautiful.
I
Okay, let's
love
see.
it. And this is your house?
That's my house. So that's
Oh,
yeah.
I love
They're
those
like, just let the lady
streamers.
go.
And
They're
she
like,
did her
just let the
thing.
lady go.
I love it. Those are beautiful.
Let's
I've never
see.
seen the streamers come down like that, like in a
Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what that
straight
is?
down.
That's what do they call? Some people do it with like the chicken wire, but though that's like
Okay.
plastic. That
Oh,
wiring. Yeah.
oh,
Let's see.
very cool.
Okay, we got the
Mashallah.
hair.
wow.
You do it
Bismillah,
up.
I
I
love
love
that.
it. Yes.
That's
Okay,
beautiful.
and I got one
It
more, and then I'll
is.
see if I can find some other pictures.
Oh
Oh,
wow, like
yes. I love
oh, the
that.
papacy on the wall. Is that
Yes.
is that on the wall, directly written on the wall, or is that
No,
it looks?
it's a vinyl decal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mashallah.
I'm
I
a
love
cricket
this.
girl. I am definitely a cricket girl, so
I love, hey, I
start
like it.
making all sorts of things. I'll see if I can find more through the course of the conversation. But I was like, yeah, decorating. I love that kind of stuff all day
Yes,
long.
no, I love that you decorated. Look, I feel like I need to pull out my picture now.
Yes, like
I don't have them
pictures.
handy,
And I
but
mean, like, and I love that you said, like, it can be as simple or as intricate as you want, because there's some year, like last year, I didn't do anything and I
yeah,
felt a little bad. And then there's some years that I've done like something just really, really basic. I was just looking at those. I'll see if I can pull those up. I just did something basic because I was just like, oh man, I don't have a lot of time. I didn't prep. So I love that we're
right.
having this conversation
Mhm.
because it's putting us in the mind to prepare. And there's times
Prepare.
where I
Yeah.
haven't. Right. And I haven't. There's times I haven't prepared, and I get to the like right up to the door. I've even like been decorating, and Ramadan already started. We probably in the second 10 days.
It's okay. You got it done though. Alhamdulillah. But no, I
Yeah.
think that yes, Ramadan always feels like it sneaks up on me. Like even though I
Hmm.
know it's 60 days or about 60 days, I can guarantee you that I'm gonna feel like, oh wait, is Ramadan tomorrow, next week? But I think that, like you said, having these conversations are important. And I think too, like when we talk about community, if you go to the masjid and you start seeing, people putting some things up, now I'm getting myself in the mind frame, of, oh wait, maybe I should also, pick that up or order that online. And I think there's some great Muslim companies, like I just mentioned one. I hope she is open again this Ramadan, but Ramadan and Juliet is a Muslim owned company. And while, yes, we can get our decorations from Amazon or Walmart, I think even Walmart is starting to have some Ramadan
Oh
decorations.
yes,
Yes.
I know, Party City. I would just hope
Party
that,
City. Yeah.
yes,
yes, I would just hope that
yes.
let's try at least try to get our Muslim brothers and sisters who are doing the decorations. Let's try to support them first, inshallah. And then, if you can't, fill in. But you see it kind of spreading. You see people kind of understanding, like, okay, hey, Ramadan is something that we need to take a look at and pay attention to, because I think that, people are wanting to kind of, decorate their spaces and make it special.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned buying products from the companies, Muslim-owned companies, to support them so they can stay in business. Uh,
Hmm.
because when it becomes popular to sell uh, Islamic items, we forget our people who've been, all along providing these items for us.
Yeah.
We want to remind ourselves to make sure that we find our fellow Muslims who are actually selling these items, especially decoration, and
Yeah.
purchase our items from them. And
Uh,
you can order them online from them because I'm sure they'll send it to you
yes,
online. Because
they absolutely will.
yeah, it's important.
And I think that even another step we could do, and I think it would be nice, is let's have like a little bazaar, like a little Ramadan bazaar, maybe a few weeks before
Oh yes,
Ramadan at the masjids. And hey, like you
yes,
said, you can pull out your cricket. Hey, you can do your decals. You can sell your decals, or you can have like some really cool like artisan items, straight from the Muslim community. You don't even have to worry about shipping and say, oh, this
yeah.
sister does really cool these, or this, blah, 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 or this brother has this. And, blah, blah. And hey, let's have like a little bazaar and start thinking about it like that, so that we can just kind of keep our dollars within our communities, inshallah.
Right. And I was gonna say you
Yes,
may you
yes,
may see
yes.
some things from Imprint Creative Designs, which is my big.
Okay.
I've been saying for a long time, oh, I'm gonna sell these things, and life just starts lifing. But hey,
I
you may see
know.
some things this year.
Hey, sis, you got 60 days, okay? Pull it out. Get to work.
Yeah. Yes.
Inshallah.
Yes. Yes.
You can do it. But yeah, I think
I
I
would.
love saying it.
This is a Ramadan pillow. So a sister, Muslim sister, made it.
MashaAllah.
There
Oh,
it is.
nice.
Yes.
The Ramadan. And let me see if I can get it. I'm backwards here. Okay, there we go. Ramadan is right there. on the
Yeah.
On the
pillow.
side,
That's
yes.
so
Uh-huh.
nice.
MashaAllah, yes. I
And so,
love that.
yeah, so I bought this at a Muslim bazaar. They were doing a Muslim selling items at the Muslim, and then she also had this, which is so pretty. It has a little, it's Ramadan, and it has not candles, but the little jewelry, little
Oh, I see.
sequence jewelry. In it. Yeah, it
Very
looks like
nice.
lights.
It
Yeah. So
does. It
yeah,
really does look
so
lovely.
when decoration, so I keep it keep it and pull it out during the month of Ramadan. And so yeah, so they're having a bazaar, someone community, and going to that bazaar and picking up items from the bazaar. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if there's some crafty people, like, hey, just pull it. Like you said, there's a sister here who does the pillows. I've had, like I said, the sister who does banners, mugs, and coffee cups, and things like
Oh
that
wow.
that say Ramadan Mubarak. So there's so many, different cool ways. Like I can even imagine like candles and things like that. So I would love, love, love to see if we could potentially have those. Maybe this year and support it, inshallah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about our homes, we talked about the schools, we talked about the masjid, and so I've seen these cool. I guess this can be in any of those spaces. I've even seen those cool. And I said I was gonna make it, but I bought the supplies and never made it.
Okay.
Those door hangers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I
where
know.
you
Yeah,
yeah, those are really nice too. I'm gonna see if I can find a
they
picture.
are. Now, are you talking like the big ones that go down or the ones that are on your doorknob?
No,
Okay.
the one that's on the door, like the round ones that
It
you
kind of
hang.
like rolls down. Yeah, I know exactly what you're
I've
talking
seen the
about.
ones that are like tall and just sit outside your home too. Those are cool
Oh, I
as
haven't
well.
seen those. I would love to see
Let me
that.
find. I'm
Yes.
gonna find some and see if I can
Yeah, let's give
share
the people
those.
some inspiration because, like, some people that might be enough for them. Like, I'm just gonna put my, thing on the door and call it. And alhamdulillah, that's good. I think that it's just please do something. Do something.
And having
Right.
a verse in on the door, it would cost a reminder for the children to see it in Arabic, see it in English. That would be good for them to see. And you can if you're seeing something frequently or all of the time,
Hmm.
then your chances of remembering it. And then, of course, you have to explain what it means to them and have a discussion about it, which is a good thing. Have a discussion
Yeah,
about whatever the
always.
ayat is saying. Yeah, it's good. A continuous learning all day, every day,
Yes.
throughout the
With
day,
yes, in every way. No, I'm joking.
in every way. I love it. We got to go on the road together.
Yes, let's keep it going, inshallah. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, let me see if I can share this with you. Hold on, let me get back to the screen that you all are on because I've done ventured off. Hold on, I'm coming back. So and then I'm gonna find the tall ones too because I think those tall ones are really cool. But here's like the ones that you hang on your door.
I like that. That's very nice, and I love how
Yeah,
it's
so I
personal
mean
for
that
each
one
family.
has those have a lot of that has like the Arabia, it has the Ramadan Mubarak, and then it has a family name.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but I've seen
Oh,
them eat like very basic too, not even all of that stuff. And then it has a like a rope attached to the back, and you just hang it on your door.
Yeah.
So
you
those are
know,
cool.
Ramadan decoration outside of the home is a good dawah. You're just sending a message. Well, maybe not dawah, but maybe awareness. Not
Mm-hmm.
not so much dawah, but maybe awareness that this is a holiday or this is a way of life. This is what is done during this time, and it may even simulate questions with an opportunity for you to give answers, and to share information about Al Islam. So yeah, they're having it outside the home. I've never done that before, but
Yeah,
I see that where it can be something. If I can find something that I can put in my yard and identify, I mean, something in my yard, and perhaps it will become a piece of conversation.
I think so. I think, like you said, at best it would be awareness because you'd be surprised. Like you feel like you're almost in a bubble during Ramadan because it's like the Muslims are doing it and nobody else knows like what's happening. So this could be an awesome way to say, hey, here's what we got going on.
Right. And so let me I found another one. This one is the one of the things that could probably go outside of the home. Hold on, I gotta get back to y'all. Okay, turn off again. um, because I don't know if you've all seen, like, sometimes people put signs outside their door. They're just like, it looks like I guess, I don't know if it's a 2x4. Don't get me with the measuring, but um, they kind of just lean up against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's one.
Oh yes,
Oh
that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah. We
have.
use that one at
Yes.
the masjid for, yes, we use that one at the masjid. We have that one, something
Hmm.
similar to that
I
at
like
the
that.
masjid. Hmm.
Yeah, I do. I like that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I would
it's a,
even go a step further when we talk about awareness, to even maybe do like a little goodie bag for your neighbors. And it depends on how much you know your
Ooh,
neighbors. But a
oh
little goodie
yes,
bag. Hey, just
yes.
wanted to let you know we're doing
Yeah, it's a great
Ramadan. Here's a
idea.
few cookies or candies or whatever. And then here's a little bit about what Ramadan is. And so, I
That's a
think that
great idea.
yeah, and so then, like you said, it's bringing them in, it's making them aware, and it's saying, "Hey, look, what we have going on." So I think that there's so many ways that we can incorporate these type of, fun things for Ramadan.
Awareness. Yes,
Yes.
yes. And I
I
love
like that
that we're
idea.
using the term awareness too, because, sometimes people get into this, at least it feels that way. They get into this spirit of, like, we're trying to make everybody Muslims. Listen,
Right.
that ain't what we're trying to do, right? Like that.
No,
That's not even
that's
in
not
our
our
charge to do,
job.
right?
Right. That's not
That's
even
not
what
our
we're
job.
That's
trying to
not our
do.
job, right?
Right. So I love that we're
That's not
using
our
the term
job.
awareness. Right. I love
Yes.
that we're using the term awareness, because it's
Yes.
just like, hey, this is what we're doing, and
Mhm.
this is what we want to give to you in the spirit of what we're doing.
Absolutely. And I have done similar, and it has always been received well. And I think sometimes we get, dissuaded by what we see on TV, and things just seem so heavy and this. But truly and honestly, I think by and large, people are want to be kind, want to be understanding. And so
Yeah.
depending, who your neighbors are. You could, go accordingly. And so, I think that it can be a potential for awareness and just kind of bringing people in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I,
Yeah.
I
What
absolutely
kind of
love
things you
that.
put in your goodie bag? Yeah,
Candy,
you know what kind of things you put in
candy,
your goodie bag?
candy, and just like a little passage of like what Ramadan is. And one time I had like,
Oh,
for
okay.
some reason, I had a bunch of like potted plants, and so I gave a few potted plants. To my neighbors, and I live in a neighborhood that's it's an older neighborhood, so they all enjoyed it. Yes.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never even considered the goodie bag idea, but that is such a great idea.
Yeah.
It is.
That's
It
such a great
is. I
idea.
like that idea. I think I'm gonna borrow that one.
Right.
So,
So we're borrowing things from this
you can have it.
conversation.
Take it. It's for everyone,
Yeah, and
inshallah.
I think it's just a nice thing to do. So in here in New Jersey, we have a weekend school. We don't have a full-time school. But I think the children would enjoy, like, putting those types of things together. We do a community feeding every other week, and we pass out meals, and so it would be nice to add that to the bag. Sometimes we'll add, like, the Muslim journal to the bag, but I think
Nice.
during the month of Ramadan, perhaps we'll add the goodie bag with a little message in there about what
Yeah.
Ramadan is.
What
Yeah.
Ramadan is, what we do, what we don't, answer like Mythbusters, like, anything that you could put in there. And even sometimes you might not feel comfortable maybe knocking on the door, maybe put it in the mailbox. And that's something super simple. Put it in the mailbox from your neighbor over at whatever number your house is. Just wanted to say, hey, and here's a little goodie bag. And I think that, there's so many ways of, doing it. And Islamically, we should know our neighbors.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got some good ideas today, seriously, because that's our role. That's part of our role and responsibility. Like you said, we
Yes.
should know our neighbors
Yeah.
and we should be neighborly, right? And so in so doing, there are just little things that we can do that don't feel like pressure or
Yes.
overbearing,
Yeah.
that can help to build the relationships with those around us. So that's really good.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
give
And
something to
and
your
maybe
neighbor, something light.
maybe yeah, maybe starting out if you don't know your neighbors, just introducing yourself. You know what I mean? And then you ease your way into kind of doing more of these things. Maybe your first interaction might not be, hey, we're doing Ramadan. But if you don't know right now your neighbors, hey, let's start now. Let's just, hey, I'm here, just wanted to introduce myself. And then you can work up to that. But I think Islamically, we should be, trying to do these things and we should, push ourselves just a little bit.
Right. And another thing is that, I know it, like at work, and maybe even in our families where we do have Christian relatives, right? They're very open about giving us gifts, right, during their
Yeah.
celebrations. And so I don't always see us doing that in the inverse when it's Ramadan. And so
Yes.
that's an opportunity to for awareness, but also for bringing people into um, our observances as well.
Absolutely. And let's say you're at the grocery store. I know I still people say Merry Christmas. Just throw in a Ramadan Mubarak. Why not? You know what I mean? Like they might look at you like, huh? You're like, oh yes,
Excuse
Merry
me,
Ramadan Mubarak. After you
what
get
you
that
said about
voucher, it's
my
like, oh, I just said
Not a
Ramadan
bad
Mubarak.
idea. There
Because
you
I know
go.
people
Not
say
a
happy
bad
holidays to
idea.
me, all of that, and I take no offense. I
Yeah,
love that you're excited about what you're about to do, and I'm excited about what I'm about to do. Ramadan Mubarak. Oh, what's that? Yeah, like I feel like sometimes we get so uptight with certain things. It's like let's
yeah.
have a little, a little joy. Throw a Ramadan Mubarak at the grocery
that's
store.
right.
Yeah, see
That's right.
how
Or
receive.
just blessed Ramadan.
Yeah, bless
They
it.
may not know Mubarak. But you can say
Right.
blessed Ramadan. They know
Bless
Ramadan. They heard
Ramadan.
that word somewhere. You know,
Absolutely.
so
Blessed
they know
fasting. Yes.
blessed
And then we're like,
Ramadan.
what?
Yes,
Yes. And so it's just a little conversation
yes,
starter. And
blessed
then if they
Ramadan.
didn't know, maybe they'll Google it, or what was she saying? What were they talking about? And maybe that'll start a conversation. You just never know.
Right. And you'll be
Yes, we're all
surprised,
about
a lot of
education.
people are looking forward to even giving us those greetings because they're like, I know
Yep.
that this is your
I know.
time.
Exactly.
Yes,
I think I went to the post office
exactly.
and I was mailing some Ramadan cards. And the man at the post office was like, oh, it's Ramadan? Is it already Ramadan? I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, yeah, because my neighbor, I know that they da 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 da. So just like that, it was kind of like, just a little something to, I think we shouldn't be closed off to those things. It's a beautiful time and we should spread that beauty.
Yeah. And so you just mentioned
Yes,
Ramadan
yes.
cards, right? And so I'm like, tell us about those, right? Because I had this whole dream, and maybe it'll come true. I don't know. I'll do so many things that I'm not sure. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have this company and I'm gonna do all of these things with Islamically inspired, stationery, all this
Yeah.
stuff, right? I haven't gotten around to it. But you just mentioned the cards, and so tell us
Yeah.
about the cards, like, and just doing those kinds of things, because there are some,
Yeah.
like, for especially for those of us who have like we do have a Christian background, and we have been in that practice of celebrating Christmas. And there are certain things that just came with it. Like I know my mother, she used to send out Christmas cards, and she would sign, her, she would put from Viv and Kids and all it, it
Yeah.
always had on there, right? And so that's a tradition and a
Yeah.
custom of my family that could be carried forward in Ramadan. We just have to take the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. And the kind of card I'm talking about is almost like a postcard. And so something very simple, just like a little postcard that may say Ramadan Mubarak. And I think this is another opportunity to bring the kids in on it, right? Because it's nothing like receiving that tangible card in the mail. It's okay to send a message on email, but it's something very special, especially for your family members like your grandparents or aunts, especially, those who might not live in the same city as you. It's something really special about going to the mail, having, you and your kids, send us like a little message, and you can do like a 25 stack, and just, send them to the post office, and it really can light up someone's day and make it that little extra special touch.
So where do you get the cards from? Because I know it's not that easy to find them.
Yes, I cannot. I think there was someone who was selling them at like a bazaar type of thing, and she had her cards, and it just said Ramadan Mubarak, or I can't remember if it was Eid or Ramadan, and so I bought them from there. But like you said, hey, let's start the conversation with that crafty Muslim person and say, hey, can you make me 25 Ramadan cards? I want to do that. Or, we have our printers. We can print out like a little card, you know what I mean? And just kind of put it in a little envelope and send it like that and make it fun. It can even be just something that's hand drawn or, handwritten from children and things like that. I know my son absolutely loves putting things in mailboxes and stuff. So, I think that we can get creative, with whatever resources you have. But I think that's just another level of just making it special.
Oh, right. This sounds great. I'd like to do the cards because sometimes I get cards from friends during the month of Ramadan, and I'm thinking, well, I would like to do that. Would be mindful enough and proactive
Right.
enough to get the cards
That's the part is planning.
before Ramadan is over.
Yeah, it's the planning part, and maybe it won't be Ramadan, maybe it'll be an
Yeah,
Eid card. You know what I mean? And we have, I think,
that's true.
enough time to kind of think about that. But however, you kind of want to do it, I think that it would be something that was very special for both people, the ones who are sending
Yes.
and the ones who are receiving.
Right, right, right. The cards are, and then children can make cards too.
Yeah.
As you mentioned earlier, and I think in the classical, perhaps teachers can get children to make cards. In the classical e-cards that they can give
Yes.
to their friends, yeah, or
Yeah.
to the family members. That would be great. We have them making Mother's Day cards. They can also make Eid
Eid
cards
and
as well.
Ramadan. Yes, absolutely. I love
Yeah,
that idea to incorporate it into the schools.
yeah.
And so I'm not sure if you all can hear me because you
Yeah.
all that I've lost connection, but you all were sounding a little robotic to me, but I think it's on my end. Can you all hear
Okay.
me?
We can hear you. I can hear you
Okay,
perfectly
all
fine.
right, good. So I was seeing if I can find a few more pictures before we close out. I found some from like, those early days of me and my cricket.
I love it. You make me want to get a cricket. I always like, do I need a cricket? And now I feel like I do.
Yes. Let's see if I can share those. I don't know if it downloaded. Oh, I don't think it downloaded. Oh, maybe it did. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe I can do one. Maybe not. I don't know. The computer's doing something crazy. Maybe next time. But this has been a
Okay.
great conversation. This has been
Yes.
a great conversation about preparing our spaces. Listen, we have time. There are things that we can do. Doesn't have to be elaborate, can be something small, but let's be intentional about preparing, especially if we have children, right?
Yes.
We're planting, Dr. Patricia's emphasized that, right? We're planting seeds and embedding memories, right? And so
Yes.
we want those to be good, and we want them, them to have that nostalgic feeling about how it was when they were younger and
Yes.
in these spaces. So um any last things you want to leave us with, Aida?
No, just that this conversation has got me excited about Ramadan. I'm already thinking about the things and the decorations and kind of the things that I want to. And I hope that it has sparked the same energy in whoever's watching that, hey, Ramadan is coming. It's a special time. Let's put our energy in like 360 and do all of the things to make it special, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much. We enjoyed this session with you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. This has been the power of educating our own. Tonight's guest was Sister Aida Kill. You've seen her before. She is our interior wellness specialist, and tonight we were talking about preparing our spaces for Ramadan. We look forward to being with you every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we bring you resources and tips and beneficial knowledge to help to progress us individually and collectively. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum. Have a blessed week.
Wa
Assalamualaikum.
alaikum assalam.
Bismillah.
Sister Clara Mohammed, a black Muslim woman from Macon, Georgia, was an extraordinary leader and pioneer. Her contributions, especially in the development of Islamic education in America, paved the way for thousands of Muslim families to take ownership of their children's future, starting at a time when homeschooling was illegal in the United States. She eventually established a network of schools that was later named Sister Clara Mohammed Schools in her honor by her late son, Imam Warith Din Muhammad, rahimahullah. Sister Clara Mohammed helped to establish the important role women had in early Muslim American history and was an inspiration to future generations of leaders. Without her, there would not have been a nation of Islam, or the unique Sunni Muslim community that evolved from it, one that was acutely aware of the concerns and aspirations of women. May Allah have mercy on Sister Clara Mohammed.